Ladies and gentlemen, today we want to look into the strength of each coalition per region. And I'm talking coalition here, putting in mind that we have two coalitions right now, or two sides right now, specifically not coalitions, but this is the implication of what's likely to happen in the 2027 general election, where we have the side of President William Samoei Ruto, and of course supported by Raila Odinga. And on the other side, you have the likes of Rigathi, Kalonzo, Matiangi on the different side. So that's why I'm calling them two coalitions, of course, in quotes. But we want to look into which coalition will win which region and their popularity based on the votes that were cast in the 2022 general election. Noting down that in the 2022 general election, we had 22 million registered voters, but only 14 million turned out to vote. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into it. And as I said, I've divided my coalition in voting patterns. Like, for example, in the Nyanza region, we have the Luo Nyanza region and we have the Kisii region because of their voting patterns. The way the Luo Nyanza will vote is not the way the Kisii region will vote. Another coalitions we have include the coastal region, we have the Nyanza and Rift, we have the lower eastern, we have the Luo Nyanza, of course I've said about that, we have the Ma region, we have the Mount Kenya region, we have the Nairobi region, we have the Northeastern region, and we have the Turkana region, and also the last we have the Western region. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into which region, each region, and let's see who is popular and what's likely to be the outcome of that region. As things stands right now, that's if President Ruto will be supported by Raila Odinga up to the 2027 general election, and Rigathi, Kalonzo, Matiangi will form their coalition in that regard. So we start with the Kisii Nyanza region. Kisii Nyanza region, of course, if Matiangi is going to work with the Rigathi, Kalonzo side, expect that the Kisii vote, majority of it will go to that side. If Matiangi is going to work with the Kalonzo and in the Rigathi, and you have seen even Matiangi sending a representative, especially Kisii Senator Nyonga, to represent him in the meetings of this coalition, or these principles have come together. So the Kisii vote will go to that side. Okay, the other question you might ask yourself, what are the numbers that are in the Gusii region? Gusii region is made of two counties, that is Kisii and Nyamira, and we have 960,394 registered voters as per the 2022 general election. Those who turned out to vote and were about 611,487 votes from the two counties, which basically form the Gusii region. So 611,000, majority of that vote will go to the side that Matiangi will go, and that's as per now things stand by now, that's the Rigathi Kalonzo side. So we are done with that. We go to the second region from the Nyanza, that's the Luo Nyanza. Luo Nyanza has 2.1 million votes. In the year 2022, obviously they voted for Raila Odinga. But if Raila Odinga will support President Ruto in the 2027 general election, and if they are going to negotiate, maybe probably to get a running mate position, they are going to vote for the side of President Ruto. And that's if and only if Raila Odinga will support that coalition to the end. So as things stand, Luo Nyanza will go to the side of President William Samoei Ruto. So the Kisii side, Rigathi or the Matiangi side, the Luo Nyanza, the Ruto Raila side. And if you come from this region, you can send a comment in the comment section if you agree or disagree with me. The other region is the Nyanza and Rift. Nyanza and Rift is the home yard of President Ruto. They'll vote for President Ruto, but my disclaimer is Nakuru. Nakuru has a lot of Kikuyus, but at the end of the day, President Ruto will carry the day from his own backyard. So the registered voters in this region is at 2.4 million votes, and in 2022, 1.6 valid cast votes were voted for President William Samoei Ruto. So you can see the numbers. Probably a good number of this region will vote for President Ruto. So my next region is the coastal region. The coastal region has a registered voters of 1.9 million votes. a good 1.9 million votes, but they have a very low turnout because in the year 2022, only 900,000 turned out to vote. 1 million voters never turned out to vote because of issues of security and other issues that raised up at that time. But 900,000 turned out to vote. So who will win from this coalition? Who will win from this region in terms of the coalition we have talked about? 50-50, but Raila Ruto can get slightly higher from this region because Raila Odinga has been popular in that region, and that region always votes in terms of their leaders. If you have Joe on your side, you have Kingi on your side, and Raila Odinga campaigning in the coastal region for your side, you are likely to get a good number of votes from that side. And if things go as they stand right now, we've seen even PS position being given to the coastal region. We've seen CSS to the coastal region. They're likely to vote for President Ruto in 2027 from the coastal region. Another region is the Mount Kenya region. This is the region that has changed things and has complicated the entire matrix of President Ruto, because it's believed that it is one of the regions that gave President Ruto about 48 plus votes of the total votes he got in the 2022 general election. So right now, in 2027, the total votes of, before we look at this potentiality of who they will vote for, the total votes of this region are 5.7 million registered voters. Those are the registered votes from the Mount Kenya region. 5.7 million votes. And those who turned out to vote, the votes that were cast for the presidency in 2027, in 2022, were 3.8 million votes. So also about 2 million votes never turned out to vote from the Mount Kenya region, because President Ruto got 2.9 and Raila Odinga got 848,000 votes from the Mount Kenya region. So the Mount Kenya region I'm talking about in this is, leave alone the Kikuyus in Nairobi, in Nakuru. These are the people who are voting in the Mount Kenya counties. They gave President Ruto 2.9 million votes. So who is strong as but the two coalitions? Obviously, Rigathi Gachagua, very popular. They say that in the Mount Kenya region, the leaders got the people, and Rigathi Gachagua has done exactly that. And the betrayal that we have been seeing, the Mount Kenya region will entirely vote for that coalition. So from the Mount Kenya region, almost 70 plus or 80 plus votes will go to the Rigathi side, if the coalition will remain two as early stated. So the other side, the other region we want to look is the Eastern region. That's the Lower Eastern region. So the Lower Eastern region have been voting the direction of Kalonzo Musyoka, and in 2027, if Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be the presidential candidate, as it's perceived in this coalition, then the campus are going to entirely vote for the side of Kalonzo, Rigathi and Matiangi, that side. But what are their numbers? Do they have a good number from this Eastern region? In 2022, the Kampa region or the Eastern region, that's the, as I've said, the Lower Eastern, had 1.7 million votes. Registered votes. How many turned to vote? 1 million turned out to vote. And Raila Odinga, of course, got 769,000 votes, getting a whooping majority from that side because of the factor of Kalonzo Musyoka. So Kalonzo Musyoka is going to, if Kalonzo Musyoka is working with Rigathi and the likes of Matiangi in that coalition, then trust me, the campus are going to vote for this coalition. So, and the next region we want to talk about is the Nairobi region. The capital city of the country, Nairobi region. Nairobi region has a lot of people who are educated, who think. Here is where we have a lot of pay slip holders. Here is where the Gen Z revolution happened, or the Gen Z demonstrations happened. And a lot of people in this region are likely to vote for the Rigathi Kalonzo side. And my reasoning is behind the fact that we have a lot of Kikuyus in Nairobi. People from the Mount, a good number of people from the Mount Kenya region are in Nairobi. Even if you see the voting patterns of governors, before Sakaja we had a Songo, who was voted basically by campus, who have good numbers in Nairobi. After that we have We had Sakaja, who was basically voted by a good number of Kikuyus. So if you are going to put Kikuyus together with Campus, who form a good big majority of people in Nairobi, you're only going to leave the Luo Nyanza part of it. So they're going to get the majority of votes in the Rigathi Kalonzo coalition. And at the end of the day, if Gen Z will not be having their presidential candidate, if the Gen Z factor will not have a person they have decided to go for, a lot of Gen Z, a good majority will prefer the side of Rigathi and Kalonzo side. The next region is the Northeastern region. The Northeastern region, the registered voter is 882,000 votes. So it's not a good number of votes from that region. But in 2022, those who turned out to vote were 552,000 votes. This is the region where we have been seeing President Ruto going there and making declarations about ID registration, the issue that brought about a lot of issues last 1 month ago. But who will win from this region? Because the fact that President Ruto has made inroads to that region, let's give him an upper hand. President Ruto will get majority votes from that region, and if Raila Odinga is inside, they are likely to get a good number of votes from that region, putting in mind that Raila is the one who got lots of votes from that region in the 2022 general election, getting 353,000 votes, while President Ruto got 106,000 votes. So if these principles are working together, they're likely to get the good numbers from the Northeastern region. That is it, but the numbers, not very good numbers. So another region is the Turkana region. Also, very few votes, 238,000 registered votes. Those who turned out to vote were 143,000 votes. Raila got 96,000 votes, while President Ruto got 46,000 votes. Also, the Turkana region, 50-50. This one I can leave it for 50-50. We don't know what will happen. It depends on who will campaign where. People don't specifically campaign here a lot because the numbers are low. But these are 50-50 region. So the last region, which is a determinant of the outcome of that election, if things will stand as per the two coalitions, is the Western region. Western region have a good 2.6 million registered voters. And they have always been said that they are the second largest region in the country. Actually, not been said, they are the second largest region in terms of voter tyranny of numbers in the country. And they have 2.6 million votes. In the 2022 general election, Raila Odinga got 976,000 votes from the Western region, while President Ruto got 630,000 votes from that region. So we'll get a majority in 2027 election. So these are the determinant factors. Number one, the Natembeya factor. You cannot underrate that Natembeya is now very popular in the Western region. It's taken entirely the Trans Nzoia region and even extending outside the the Trans Nzoia county, and is putting people under its direction through the Tawe movement. So Natembeya is a key factor. Even Natembeya will join Rigathi Kalonzo side, then trust me that coalition will get a majority of the Western vote. With the likes of Cleo Malala, DAPK party that has shown interest to work with the side of Rigathi and their party leader Eugene Wamalwa. So if you have Peter Salasia, the likes of Cleo Malala, Natembeya in this coalition, they're likely to get a majority, but not very, not a big margin of the two coalition. Another determinant factor is the fact that where will this coalition pick, the coalition of Rigathi Kalonzo pick their running mate? If at the end of the day they go for Natembeya as the running mate of this coalition, trust me, they are going to get a majority of votes from this coalition, because the Western region will feel that for the first time they have got a running mate after a very long time of not having I think the last presidential candidate was Mudavadi, who lost coming position 3. So the determinant factor will be who will get the Natembeya into their coalition, and another determinant factor is the running mate position. Which coalition will give Western the running mate position? because it's a general understanding that before you go to the details of that, let me give you the numbers. They have 2.6 million registered votes, 1.6 million turned out to vote. That was about 62% turnout. Raila Odinga got 976,000 votes, while President Ruto got 630,000 votes. You can see that for, as it's been known, Western region, there is everybody, any presidential candidate who campaigns when that region gets votes. But in 2027, as things are, they might decide to vote to, like, similar to one side. That's if the two factors I've said are playing out. If this coalition of Rigathi will consider a running mate from Western region, and likely that's Natembeya, if they pick Natembeya for the running mate position, they will get an overwhelming support from that region. So, for the side of Ruto and Raila Odinga, if they get Natembeya to their coalition, they are going to get a good majority of the Western votes. So, that's the determining factor, because already Mudavadi, Oparanya, Speaker Wetangula are already in the side of President Ruto. So, only a little stimuli by getting Natembeya to the side of President Ruto, which is not impossible, they'll get that vote from Western region. But as things stands right now, Natembeya is only perceived to work with the Rigathi Kalonzo side. So, as per me now, I give the Kalonzo Rigathi side an upper hand in Western, and that's putting my thinking behind the fact that they might go for a Western running mate position, because you cannot pick a presidential candidate from Mount Kenya region or from the Eastern region and give a running mate to the Mount Kenya region. That's like picking a Raila Odinga president and giving the Kisii running mate. These are people from almost the same region. They can't work that way. So if they're going to pick Kalonzo Musyoka as the presidential candidate, it means that Mount Kenya region cannot have a running mate position. So they'll have to prefer another region. Maybe either they go for Fred Matiangi, or they go to the Western region and pick Natembeya. If they're going to have a presidential candidate from the Mount Kenya region, let's say by then Rigathi Gachagua will be cleared and he decides, okay, I'm going to run for presidency. If Rigathi is running for presidency, it's impossible for Kalonzo Musyoka to be running mate, to take the running mate position, as I've said, because they also come from the same, similar from the same region. That's why the running mate position will eventually go to a different region, because these two, Eastern and Mount Kenya region, cannot produce a running mate and presidential candidate in that way. So if they go to the Western region and pick Natembeya, they'll get the majority of votes from there. Others, ladies and gentlemen, they say one day in politics is a very, very long time. We'll see what will be unfolding. We don't know about maybe even this Rigathi coalition might split into two. There have always been a possibility of a split. I'll be doing a video to talk about that. A split of Matiangi being the presidential candidate, picking Natembeya as the running mate position, and also mobilizing to form a different coalition. So that's also another possibility. But as we have talked now, if these are the two coalitions, Ruto and Raila, and Kalonzo and Natembeya, Kalonzo and Rigathi and Matiangi and Natembeya on the other side, then those are the potential turnout, or those are the potential voting patterns in the 2027 general election. Can you tell me what you think in the comment section? I'll take my more time to read and give you a response. And as I finish, I have said the coastal region we give it to Raila. Kalonzo we give the Raila Ruto side. Nyanza Rift we give it to Ruto Raila side. Kisii Nyanza we give it to the Rigathi Kalonzo Matiangi side. Lower Eastern we give it to the Kalonzo side, and that's the Kalonzo Matiangi. Luo Nyanza we give it to the Ruto Raila side. Ma region 50-50%. Mount Kenya region totally Rigathi Kalonzo Matiangi side. Mount Kenya, that's the Mount Kenya, of course. Nairobi region Kalonzo Matiangi side. Kalonzo Rigathi Matiangi side. Northeastern Ruto Raila side. Turkana 50-50% side, we give it to both coalitions. Western region, basically on the factors have played out. If they play in favor of Rigathi and the Kalonzo side, and Natembeya coming to the side, I give you the Natembeya of the Kalonzo Rigathi Matiangi side. You can see what you think in the comment section. I'll take my more time to read and give you a response. Stay safe and subscribe to this channel if you politics what you like and you're watching this for the first time. Have a nice day whenever you are.